There. All right, there we go. Thank you, everybody, for coming online for this demonstration of the Selerix system that's going to be the system that's used for enrolling at Morton Manufacturing. So here we go. You should see where that you're receiving controls, Ty, and can.
Okay, sure.
There we go.
I got it there. Excellent. All right. So what you are seeing here now, what I've done here, obviously I don't have all the documents yet, so this is just a demo case that I built real quick, just to put your products in there. So I don't have the exact offer in there, so it won't be exact, but it'll be the same look and functionality. So you'll get an idea of how the system works. So regardless of the offer, it's all going to be the same. So so this is what the enrollment looks like from the employee perspective, or I guess once the enroller meets with somebody and clicks their name and clicks enroll, this is the experience they're going to see. And we'll just kind of walk through the different screens here. It's going to show you some demographic information. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Real quick, how do they get to this screen? I mean, how did they get to
Great question. So let me just, let me back up here for 1 second, and we can do that. So each one of the enrollers will be provided with enroller access, so to the admin site. So this is the admin site, and let me just kind of back up. This is the admin login page here. This is where the enrollers or counselors, however you want to refer to them, will come here. We'll give them a username and password, and they will enter that information on this admin page here, or admin login. And it'll take them into the back end of the system, which looks like this. They'll see the name of their case up here, and then they'll kind of see a snapshot of, and obviously now this is going to look a little different because you'll actually have live employees in here. So you would see everybody in orange, start has not begun. As people go in and meet with people, you will see this pie chart dynamically change real time. And you'll see as people log in, it'll move them to incomplete. And as they complete their elections, it will then move them into a blue complete. So you can kind of get a real-time snapshot. Anytime you log in, you want to see how the enrollment is progressing. But what they'll do here, once they log in to go look up an employee, is they will go up under enrollment, and they'll click employees. And then here, there's a search box. And one of two things they'll do here. They'll either enter the employee's social security number, or they could enter the employee's name, first, last, however. So if I start typing test, it comes up with anybody with test in their name. Or if, or Alan, or John, or James, or Susie, or whatever, it'll pull up everybody with that in their name. So you can kind of, it'll give you a list here of all the Johns, and you can say, okay, that's John Smith that I want to get here, and is it the right John Smith? Then you confirm it's the right social or EID, what have you. Okay. So once you find the right person, you click their name. It takes you to this screen here, just some information about the employee. And then if you scroll down, you'll see an orange enroll button here. And this is how you get over to that enrollment experience, by clicking that orange enroll button. And that takes you back here to that screen that we started off with initially. Okay? So what we'll do here is use the navigation. Now you can skip around, but I always recommend just using the navigation, the next and back buttons. That way you wind up, you don't miss anything that way. So the first screen it will take us into here is the personal information screen for the employee. Anything that we might not have that's required, they'll have to put in here. So let's just say for some reason we didn't put phone numbers in or load them in via census. You could see that actually turns red, and I would actually have to put that in, or if I try to continue, it won't let me go past that until I put that phone number in there. Okay. They can also make changes to their address or what have you if they want, and add any additional optional information if they want to do that as well. Okay. So once they're all done with that, they'll progress to the next screen, which is then going to be the dependent screen. Now, typically, this is the first time enrollment. We load employees in, so we won't have loaded any dependents in. So what they will do is they will click to add a dependent. They'll click this add, little green plus button. It comes up. I've already added a spouse, so that's why spouse is not available. But initially, when you first do it, you will see spouse or child. So you can, once you do the spouse, you can't do them again, but you can go back in here and you can add as many children as you need to. So you select the relationship, type the information. We don't require social for dependents, so if they don't have that, that's fine. It's not required. And then just put their information in, click save, and it will add them to the list here, and they can do as many children as they need to. Obviously, they can only do one spouse or domestic partner. Okay. So once they have everybody in this system here as a dependent, what it does is it does one of two things here. It makes them first available to elect coverage for them, but it also makes them an available beneficiary when we get to those beneficiary screens. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone putting them here. Even if they don't plan on electing coverage for them here, it's good to just put them here so that you can have them available as beneficiaries once you make an employee's election if they want to do that. Okay. So our next screen is going to take us to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, are you able to go back, like if you're in the enrollment and then they decide they want to add their dependents? After all, can you go back to that?
Absolutely.
Screens
Absolutely.
To add them?
So you sure can. So if you got in here and they said, you know what, I do want to add them, you can always go up here to you and your family and click on dependents, and that will take you right back to that screen where you can add them again. And then you could go click next and go back into the plan that you wanted to make that election for. So, yep, very easy to navigate and get around. And, if you thought you didn't want it but then changed your mind later, you can go back and easily do that. So very easy. Okay. All right. So this works one of two ways here. If they know that they only want, one certain plan, you can click review and go directly to that plan. However, you can also just use the next button and it will go through each one sequentially. So we'll just do that. It'll first take them into the accident plan. Now, I didn't know the specifics around your accident offer, what have you. So typically you don't see where you can pick low, medium, and high. A lot of times it's already chosen at the employer level. So, but this is just for demonstration purposes. I put this in here just so you would know how it calculates and changes the rate. So, as well as
well, they actually do have the choice between low, medium, and high on this.
Oh, do you? Okay, well, perfect. Yeah, then that's great. So, yep. And then if you have a choice between these, they'll either be preset or you'll be able to choose elimination periods and payment durations. Okay. And that changes the rate dynamically as well. So, all right. And then the question that they have here is they have to select that they are currently actively at work. If they are not actively at work, it will make them ineligible to apply. And this question is going to be on every single one of the products. So, hopefully if they're meeting with people face-to-face, they're going to be actively at work. So I would presume that most of that's going to be a yes. Okay. All right. And then here for accident, since we've added a spouse and a child, it enables these other options. So if we had only ever just had the employee, these others would be disabled and you would not even have them to choose from. But since we did put them in, you then can go and say, okay, who do I want to cover? Do I want to do the spouse? Do I want to do just the children? Or do I want to do the entire family? And it will dynamically change the rate there as well. Okay.
And so it is showing a per pay period rate?
Correct. That is correct. So it's a per pay period deduction. Mm-hmm. So based on if they're paid, 26, 24, 52, whatever that might be. All right, so we'll just go ahead and make that election. You can see here, this is where it puts in their, for beneficiaries, it adds them there as well. So even if we didn't decide to cover them, they would be here and we could then go in and choose them as a beneficiary. It also has a couple of defaults of estate and all living children. just in case you didn't want to add anybody in there or didn't have anybody. And then if you wanted to also maybe add an additional beneficiary that wasn't a dependent per se, so maybe it's a aunt, uncle, cousin, brother, it could be a trust. You click the little add button over here, and then you can choose from any number of relationships there. And then just type their information in, click save, and then it will add them to the list here. And then you can also divide it amongst them as well. You also can customize the amount. So if you didn't want to just do 50-50 what it automatically does, you can actually customize it. As long as each column totals 100%, it will allow you to continue on. If I did 70-20, it would tell me I need to go back and fix that before I can continue. So, okay, pretty easy though. Alrighty, so we'll go to the next screen here. See taxpayer ID certification. You just have to read through that and acknowledge yes on that they're not subject to go back up withholding. And then we have our applicant statements, acknowledgement, and signature, as well as the electronic signature and payroll deduction authorization agreement. And they just have to read through that, agree to that. And then you'll see it comes back here to this screen, and it shows that they've got a green check mark. They've elected the accident plan, and we still have not done anything with the whole life or the critical illness. So at this point here, we could just go next or click review. It'll take us into the whole life. Now with the whole life, you have to elect employee coverage first. So you always have to click on the employee's name first in order to be able to elect spouse. You know, you have to make a minimum election of $25,000 in order to be able to elect any kind of spouse or dependent coverage. So there's some links to the product summary as well as the consumer and privacy notice. You can click those. They will open in a new tab. They want to review those. There is a couple of questions here. First is the tobacco question. Second is that actively at work question. Have to be actively at work. And then third, we have our dreaded disease question. And then we have our AIDS question down here. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. I wasn't reading it all the way. So, and as long as you answer, now I don't know what your specific offer is. Is there a GI component to your offer, or is it all express issue?
It's all express issue for the whole life, and then of course guaranteed issue for the critical illness and accident.
Okay. Okay. All right. So if you answer no to those, it'll allow you to both of those questions. It's going to allow you to make an election of up to the max amount. So in this case, it's just for demonstration purposes, I have $200,000. That may or may not be your exact offer. I don't know. So, but whatever your max offer is, you can elect up to that. And when we build it, if you answer yes to either one of these questions, it is not going to allow you to make an election. Because if you answer yes to either one, it'll just show a 0, and you would just have to waive that plan. Okay. So that's how that will work once you get to that. If you decide you want to make an election, again, you have to make at least a $25,000 election if you want to make a spouse or dependent or a spouse or child election. So we need to at least do that. So I'll just maybe do 50,000. Again, it goes to our beneficiaries. I can make changes if I want to, or I can just leave them as is. And then you will see that it makes that employee election there, 50,000. It's green. If I then want to go into the spouse and child, I would click their name. Spouse is always express issue. So this is what it's going to look like if you answer yes to either one of these questions. So if I say yes to that question there and no to that question, I qualify for nothing because it's all express issue. But if I answer no to this question, then it will show me the amount there, and the $125,000 amount. The knockout question for spouse and children is a disability question. So that works basically like the actively at work question for the employee. If I say that I have currently or have, I guess, on was it Medicaid due to disability or whatever the question is here, Social Security disability, if I answer yes to that, because I'm collecting disability benefits, I would not be eligible to apply for this coverage, and I would just have to decline it. Okay. But I'll go ahead and answer no, and then I can make that $25,000 election. Shows now I've got an employee and a spouse election, and then I'll just go ahead and do a child election as well. It's just a disability question, guaranteed issue, and you do that for each child. So if they had 4 children, you would have to do that same process for each child. Click on their name, click the answer, make the election, come back to the screen, click the next one, so on and so forth, until you had everybody elected. If there were some down here that you didn't want to elect, that's fine. At any point, you can continue, as long as these are all up here are green, you don't see any kind of little alert saying you need to go make a change to anything, you can then progress on to the next screen. It's going to ask you your automatic premium loan question here. So if you want information about that, you just click that link. It'll open a new tab, as well as the dividend option. There's a link to get more information. That defaults to paid up, but you can change it if they want to. Again, we have the same taxpayer identification certification question and the applicant statements acknowledgement question. And then it comes back here again. It shows that we've got an accident and we've got whole life. And then lastly, if we wanted to get a critical illness plan, we can go into that. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at critical illness in a while, so I need to confirm exactly what this is. So I did this just a little bit ago, so I'm not sure what that, I need to find out what that question is supposed to be there. So it seems like there's a text thing missing. So I'll get on with Selerix right after this and make sure that that gets addressed. But you will, whatever that question is, you just basically have to answer that question. I don't know specifically what the text is off the top of my head, but we will find out and get to that screenshot of that. So,
okay.
All right, because I haven't done a whole lot of critical illness, so I am not 100% familiar with all the screens that are there, and I know they're making changes to some of the text right now and stuff. So, but you'll just come in here. Works very much like life. Actively at work question, of course, and then there's the, are you performing all your usual and customary duties at your employer's regular place of business? That's the actively at work question. I'm sorry. This is the tobacco question up here. And then, I don't know, is your offer going to be like a 5 or 10 or 5, 10, 15, something like that with all guaranteed issue? Is it something similar to that?
Yeah, it would be in increments of 5,000 up to 15,000.
Okay, so you would basically just see one more amount. You see a 5, 10, and a 15. In this one, I've only got a 5 and a 10. So just imagine one more line there. You need to be able to pick from one of those 3. And then if you wanted to get dependent coverage, you would check the box there. And then spouse coverage, you'd be able to get an equal amount typically, or half the amount, I believe, right? So, but you can never get more for spouse than you could for the employee. So I believe if I select 5, oh, okay. So I guess in this case, I only have 10,000 configured for the spouse, but I don't know what your rule is. You might be are you able to get 5,000 for a spouse if you get 10,000 for an employee? Is that your rule?
So it's up to the max of the employee's coverage. So it'd be 15, max of 15,000 for the spouse.
Right. So is it going to be a 5, 10, or 15 for the spouse too? So
yeah,
if
they can get up to the max. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So typically you would see if the employee elected 15, you would see 15, 10, or 5 for the spouse that you could choose from. So I just don't have this demo one configured that way yet. So, but that's what it would look like when you select here. You could pick from one of those 3.
No, this
Obviously,
is perfect, Ty. I think it's good just to see how to navigate, the site, just so the enrollers know. This site is going to be set up.
To be answered.
Yeah, it'll be set up identical to the plan design, that was sold. So just so you know, I mean, this is literally just, a demo. There's fake amounts in here,
right.
et cetera. So
that's right. Yeah, not exact. Yep,
okay.
not exact.
Yeah.
So, but just to give you the gist of the idea of how it's going to work and stuff. So, okay.
And that's what we wanted, to see the enrollment flow in Selerix. So we do appreciate you showing it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did have one question real quick.
Oh, yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Because you mentioned that the benefit counselors, the enrollers, will have a login. What information do you need from me to set on the enroller so that they can get their
So we would need if you just send an email of all the enrollers that need access, we will need their first and last name, their email address, and a phone number. And then we will create access for them to the case once it's built, and we'll send them each their credentials individually, and they'll be able to go log in and set themselves up, reset their passwords, and all that kind of stuff. So.
And I can send that information to you?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay, I'll get that over to you.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So again, we'll collect our beneficiaries. Oops. Oh, I forgot. I got to answer the tobacco question for the spouse. So.
At least it lets you know what you need.
Yep. That's right. So because I went down here and selected spouse coverage, I then have to answer the spouse tobacco question, and then I have to answer the disability question. So in order to be eligible. Okay. Then I can move forward. Okay, and there's this question here. So not covered by a Medicaid, Medi-Cal. Read your certificate carefully. And then it takes us to our sign and submit. Once we've made all our elections or waived certain plans, shows all kind of a recap, generates an enrollment confirmation form, which you can see is unsigned here. Oops, sorry, let me get rid of that. On the next screen here, it will actually dynamically build that form. It's a PDF form. It's 2 pages. It shows the elections on the first page. And on page 2, it will show beneficiary and dependent information, as well as our total deduction per pay period down here. And then they would be able to sign it. Typically, we're making employee pins their 4-digit birth year. So if they're sitting there face-to-face with them, they would just turn the computer to them. They would enter their pin, which would be their 4-digit birth year, and it would allow them to sign it electronically. And then once they do that, it takes them to a sign and submit complete page. And I'm sorry, go ahead. What was your question?
Will it list the ones that they waive as well? Because the group wants to be
sure
they sign off that they're waiving. Okay, yeah.
That's correct. You have to either.
Okay.
That's right. You have to either elect or waive a plan. You can't just not do anything with it. So you will have to actually, since you guys have 3 plans in there, if you decide you want to elect one of them, you have to waive the other 2. Now, if you decide you want to waive all 3, they don't necessarily have to do anything. But you guys may want to just at least go through and I mean, if you're meeting with them and they decide to waive them, you may want to just waive them all just to give them something to show they waived them. It's completely up to you. So not required by us.
Yeah, that's what.
But if you,
that's what the group wants.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Yeah, the group wants to see the waive.
Okay. Excellent. Yep.
Okay.
So here's the congratulations page here. At this point here, everything is done. Those elections are then finalized. And if you wanted to print up a copy of that form for the employee, you could scroll down to the bottom. There's that enrollment confirmation form. You can see date signed, and you could click that. It'll open in a new tab, and you'll see if I scroll down here, it's got that electronic signature and dated on it. And then you could either save it by downloading it, or you could print it right here if you have a printer.
That's normally what our benefit counselors do. They print and give a copy to the employee so they have a copy of what they elected.
Oh, perfect. Yep. So you would just see that. Click that link, Then you just click print. It'll come up in light, print it. And then you can just close it out, and then you're here. And at this point, you could click return, or you could go up here and click log out. And it'll take, and typically it's going to, it's what it is there's an admin site and there's an enrollee site. And what it's doing is it's taking you between the two. I spent too much time over there, so it timed me out on the admin site. But once I log back in, it'll take me right back to normally where it goes. So if I'm in there and I'm going through them pretty quick, it's not going to time out. When I click return or log out, it'll take me right back to the screen right here, where I can then go and search for the next employee, find them, click their name, click enroll, and do the process all over again. So.
Okay, good to know.
Pretty
so when
straightforward.
They finish one,
yeah.
they click return. It just comes back here. They type the next name in and continue on.
That's right.
If they come to the login, if they've timed out for some reason, they just put in their login and get back in.
Yeah, and it'll take them right back here as well. So, yep, it's pretty nice. So you can go back and forth, especially if you're just meeting with people one after another and stuff. It should be pretty efficient for them.
Thank you. I appreciate you doing this demo. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
If not, I'm going to give a password really quick, and I think I'll just use so that I know my benefit counselors watch this demo. I want to know that you saw the demo on Selerix. So if you could just tell me, cat's rule. I have a cat, you see. So cat's rule. So we'll just make that the password for this, and we'll go on from there. And if there are no questions, is there anything else you need to share about Selerix? Any tips that the benefit counselors would need when they're enrolling in the system, if they haven't used it before? I think a lot of my benefit counselors have used it before, but there's probably a couple that have not.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
This is Lindsay. I'm sorry. Just one thing. I'm not sure if you mentioned it. I may have missed it. Embedding the marketing pieces within the site for the employees to reference. I know that was one of the questions Mike had.
Yeah. So that's something I'll have to do. So it just depends on how we're going to do that. But once, to add them in there, what they'll do is on each page, oops, sorry. No, I can't talk right now. Dang it. It's the boss. All right. Okay, so let's just say what we'll do here is when they get to these screens, here we can embed some links here. Yeah, there's those, but we can also, anything that we additionally want to load in here, I can put, if I'm provided with those hyperlinks to them, I can add those here as well up top. So.
Perfect.
Yeah,
and
so easy enough. Yep.
Yeah, I would say if Mike has any in mind, I know we sent over a bunch, but if there's any in particular that he'd want out there, just let us know.
Okay, I'll have him. He'll probably look at. I know he's been swamped this past 2 days at that trade show, but I'll ask him.
If not, we'll just make sure some one-pagers. Yeah, we'll make sure. We have ones we default to, so we'll make sure those get in there.
That would be great. Yeah, and then I'll ask him to take a look, and if there's any that he specifically wants there that we let you or Ty know that, can you be sure this brochure is listed or on the accident page or something. But yeah, we appreciate all of this effort in getting us trained, so that we just want to be able to do our best at this enrollment, and information is the key. Absolutely.
Sure thing, yeah. Okay, well, excellent. So once we get, all that information, what have you, like I say, if you send me the users that are going to need logins, we'll go through those created, and then, like I say, once we get all the case ready and all that, we'll send out those credentials to them. They'll be able to log into that case and get in there, set themselves up, and get familiar with the site.
Okay, and do you happen to know, we start enrolling on the one-on-one meetings on the Tuesday the 4th. Do you happen to know when this might be ready? They're actually, and Thursday the 30th is when the group meetings are, but I don't think there's any one-on-ones that day. But
yeah, so we just received the sold case documents yesterday evening. So we had submitted that over to our case setup team, and they are just, I mean, this is a rush. They're doing their best to put their best foot forward. And yeah, I mean, Roger and I have definitely mentioned this is outside of our normal process. So, you know, our team is currently building the case and getting everything set up for Thursday. So, yeah, you're in the same boat as us. So,
right. It doesn't sound like you'll actually need it by Thursday, right? Is that right? You're going to be having group meetings, so you're not necessarily going to be enrolling people on Thursday, but it'll probably still be.
I don't think so, but
Friday,
it's always good. It's always good to have, because there's always the one employee. Well, I'm ready to do it now, you know, kind of thing.
Oh, well, there you go.
You just never know. So I always like to be prepared just in case. Yeah, because you know, I've had many a time where I'm building the night before, because you get all your data the night before, which is not ideal, but sometimes that's what happens.
It happens. That's right. All righty. Well, we'll do our best to get this all knocked out in this business. There you go. That you have to be, right?
That's right.
Well, Ty,
all right. Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
And if anybody has any questions about any of this stuff, then have them feel free to reach out to me if they have trouble getting in or anything like that. I'm available for that. So, assist any way I can.
Good. I can put you down as the Selerix resource in case anybody has issues.
Correct. Yeah, I'll be the Selerix resource in case anybody has any issues or anything. So just have them reach out to me. They can
Thank you.
Sometimes I can get, if they email me, I can get to them quicker because I might be on calls. But I can see it come up before me, and I can sometimes deal with it via email and stuff a little quicker. So just mention that to them as well. Like say, if I'm not on a call, they can absolutely welcome to call me, and I can do it that way as well.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good day.
All right.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.